watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The debate continues in the Supreme Court before a 5-judge constitution bench over the legal recognition of same-sex marriage. The hearing will resume tomorrow as the petitioners argue that the LGBTQ community seeks a life of dignity via the institution of marriage as a constitutional right. They also argue that marriage is also a means to help assimilate queer individuals into society and eradicate social stigma. On day one, the Chief Justice of India suggested that for now, the matter should be restricted to the Special Marriage Act and not personal laws. Today, the Chief Justice also highlighted that there is no absolute concept of a man or woman, saying society has moved beyond traditional gender norms. The centre, however, reiterated its stand that the legal validation of same-sex marriage will damage societal values, saying it is much more than a legal contract between two individuals. The centre has also called the demand for same-sex marriage an urban elitist view, claiming that recognizing it means rewriting an entire branch of law. Today, the centre filed a fresh affidavit calling for states to be made a party to the hearing. This move is clearly aimed at boosting the culture argument, as there is political consensus across the country that same-sex marriage hampers traditional values. But here is where the argument of former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi, who represents the petitioners, gains relevance. He says that the Supreme Court is the final protector of fundamental rights and must lead society towards reform. He says any reform towards equality cannot be stalled if Parliament and society at large is not prepared. So does Mukul Rohatgi have a point when it comes to the role of the Supreme Court? Or is the implementation of such a matter only possible via consensus? This is our top story on News Epicenter.
Only issue with the government is marriage is an institution, it has a sanctity, and it must be backed by law which takes into account our traditions, our people.
So let me now give you an overview of the arguments that are being made by Mukul Rohatgi, who says the Supreme Court should lead the way. Mr. Rohatgi said when the Hindu Code came to Parliament, even at that time the Parliament wasn't ready. Ambedkar in fact quit as law minister when Hindu Code wasn't accepted. The Hindu Code we know today came in a truncated manner. Hindu Widows Remarriage Act came in the 1800s. Society was unprepared in the 1900s. The Supreme Court must push society to acknowledge the LGBT community, is what he's saying. And that the LGBT community is an equal is the need of the hour, is the kind of the reform that is needed. We rely on the prestige and moral authority of the court. Mr. Rohatgi said on the arguments as it was playing in the Supreme Court, he was arguing for same-sex marriage. When the highest court clears the right to marry, that will drive society. And the Supreme Court must understand its role as the final protector of fundamental rights. Are we getting some direction? Where is it all heading? Raghav Avasthi is advocate for the petitioner. We have Kaushik Gupta, lawyer and sexuality rights activist. Also, Akash Agarwal, he is an LGBTQ activist. Priyanka Tandon is an activist. Deepa Ishwar is an activist as well. I'm going to begin with you, Kaushik Gupta. You know, because there is an interesting point that has been made by the Chief Justice, which has got a lot of people fuming as well. The concept of a male and the concept of a female, how that is not absolute.
Right. You know, we need to understand that while we say that we are Indians, we are still carrying on our head the colonial laws. And the understanding of man and woman is as per the colonial laws. We need to rethink, because actually, if you think about it, what is a man and what is a woman? When we talk about masculine and feminine, these are merely social constructs. And genitalia do not define the gender. And this has already been decided by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of National Legal Services Authority versus Union of India. So what the Honorable Chief Justice said is something which is already decided by Supreme Court. The Chief Justice only reiterated that.
And the point here is that is the order of nature. Their union will lead to procreation, because a biological man and a biological woman is because this entire issue, he says that it is not the law but is a mindset. That is almost like a construct of the society, and there is a need to deconstruct what is normal. Akash, are you one of those who would be saying that the arguments that have been put forth by Mukul Rohatgi Senior Counsel is that the Supreme Court is the protector here, and it can set the direction in which the country can think? You have to unmute yourself, Akash. You have to unmute yourself. Akash, we can't hear you. Yes.
So I absolutely believe that it's very factual that Supreme Court is the only protector we have in the times we live in. And that I say because if you go back and see what was the Section 377's takeaway was, that they said that the history was an apology. I think finally the time has come up to us that we as the citizens of India get the equal rights. And it is not a same-sex marriage issue. It is about equality at large, right to choice. These are my personal fundamental rights which are at stake. And it's not I as an individual, but we as a community who have often been looked down and looked away. You can't keep us as an underclass citizens. Imagine the amount of immigrations we each and every day facing with the youngsters leaving the country. And many of my own friends have left the country in the fear of being recognized here or not, or be accepted by families at large or not, of their decisions to get married or not.
If this is the stigma or the level of fear that is there, and it's palpable, Priyanka, then shouldn't the country be more welcoming, encompassing, compassionate towards same-sex marriage as well? I mean, the society can never be prepared for a transformation of this nature, but it can happen only if there is consensus. Are you one of those who will feel what the law ministry said, that they would want the union territories and the states to become a stakeholder in this entire argument?
I absolutely, thank you. I absolutely agree. As I have mentioned in my earlier debate also yesterday, the marriage, this act, the marriage relation, it is not between the male and female. It is interplayed with a certain aspect in our life. And if we really interfere in the basic nature of which law, which this nature has made, which universe has made, we will interfere in the coming many things in our life, like child foresting, gender balance, adoption, various other rules we are going to interrupt. And those who say that love need no tags, what are you looking for here? Are you looking for a kind of a validation that you want to take kind of a benefits out of getting a validation of being a husband-wife altogether? Are you looking for something that which can benefit you in the coming future?
Why not?
So if you're thinking that getting married to a male,
Priyanka, why not? See, the question is that if this will give them legitimacy for adoption, in case of a medical emergency, they would be accepted as next of kin. In terms of how they move into different departments, there are challenges. We do know that there is a great degree of stigma that is attached. So if there is a legitimacy that is given to this relationship, then why not? Why should we be so resistant to an idea of this nature when 35 countries, correct me here, because I have the data which actually says that there are 35 countries where marriage has been recognized, and 23 have legalized marriages through legislation. Yes,
here I believe in law of nature, forgetting the fact of they can get as per the law of land, but still we should also not forget the nature won't be giving them many rights, because I am someone who believes in nature. I am someone who would never support such a things in my life, because I, as a religious person, would never support male or female marriage. So I think we should also not, it's not giving them equal rights instantly, and they have already received the law of Action 377. They have already given them a rights of calling themselves a partner or a lover, something. If you are really, why are you looking for some kind of tags in your life?
I find her out of place completely. I found it appalled to even know that she has no idea what we have got and what we have not got. The very factual thing is that we have not got equal status. We have only been decriminalized, madam, and that too after ages of struggle. Also, when you call it as a nature or a call for a fact that how a man and a woman should behave, it means that you, as being a woman, is actually stigmatizing women who can't conceive or who do not wish to conceive. There are people who get married and they let their marriage be sustainable, irrespective of the fact that they can conceive a child or not, right? So I don't know how this whole idea of conceiving and plus adding a tag of the being a Hindu. I'm a practicing Hindu. If I just turn my camera, you will see a Ma Kali sitting next to me as well. But the fact is this, that being Hindu is not that denying the Ardhanareshwar or denying the Vishnu's Mohina Rupa or denying the Ayyappa. So I don't know which Hindu culture are you talking about, because this is not Hindu culture. This is an ideology of...
I am not here talking about any culture. The same-sex marriage would further isolate the marriage from its procreative purpose, I say. I'm not here supporting any kind of... I'm not here talking about a religion or something. So traditionally, the marriage, procreation has been tightly connected to the one another.
No, but the very factual thing is this, that why do we need procreation to be a part of a marriage system? We, as the most populated country in the world, is still worried about being procreated or not. It's appalling. We cannot give health care and education to the basic level. I think
I do have a right to say, if I don't agree with you on something, I have a right to differ on that. The same-sex marriage would further diminish the expectation of the parental commitment.
I agree, and I would not like to get personal through this, but the fact is this, that your right to say cannot be above our right to live, and I hope you get that.
Yes, Deepa Ishwar, come in on this. The government, in fact, the court has given time to other stakeholders, because the viewpoint of state governments and unions will also be sought, and they have to respond in 10 days' time. We know the direction in which it is heading, because if you make these state governments a stakeholder, do states actually have data of how many individuals would want to be registering under same-sex marriage? I mean, if they do not have a data of this nature, then how can they be even stakeholders in an argument of this nature?
Okay, I think, see, so my angle on this whole thing is more of what can I say? It's not theoretical, it's not legal, but it's purely societal, it's purely emotional. So let's just face the truth. So we all respect homosexual community and we are all against homophobia, okay? But having said that, we do have some respectful reservations regarding homosexual marriages. Just face the truth. And how ready are we as a nation for something as big as this. Now, with all respect to my panelist who is from the same community, with all respect, we do have friends from this community. But at the same time, I would like to put across the point that I would not want to see, or I'm not ready as yet to see a future where, we would probably see children from the same sex marriages and becomes so normal. I mean, this has been, marriage is one of the oldest institutions in human history with a male and female.
So this is value judgment.
The status of marriage to homosexuals?
No. My question is, this is value judgment. If an individual or a society is not prepared, then you cannot penalize them.
No, but isn't society important? Now, they live in a society.
The society can be prepared by the Supreme Court. So when they were decriminalized, at that time also the society wasn't prepared. When Hindu court came in, at that time also the society wasn't prepared.
Sir, I did not interrupt while you spoke. I would respect
go ahead.
So all I'm asking is, how can you separate individuals from any community, from any religion, from the society? They live in this society. The children that they adopt should grow up in this society. How can you say that because the society is not ready, we don't care, we need our rights? So it has to go in sync. There should be a harmony. There should be a synchronization.
Absolutely. Kaushik, then in that case, should we prepare the society? It's like a chicken and egg situation. The society will never be prepared, and then the same-sex marriage couples will never get their rights.
I'm just saying
the society was not prepared when women stepped out of their home and fought for right to vote.
Yes, that's right.
Society was not prepared when widow remarriage bill was passed. Society was not prepared when sati was abolished.
No, it is
not about society being prepared.
Any big change, whenever it happens, there is always resistance from the same society because we love status quo.
I agree, but this is not like women's.
Yes, go ahead.
The difficulty of the panelists, if two other individuals, no one is asking them to be married. What is the difficulty of the panelists if two other individuals want to get married? How are they affected?
How are they affected? Will you respond to this, Deepa? If there are two individuals who want to get married, then how is society impacted by it? And it's about Special Marriage Act. Look, this is not about personal laws. They are not getting into religious codes here. It's about Special Marriage Act, in which there is also intercaste marriages which are registered on that. You can practice your own religion. There has been resistance and all new concepts like love jihad and all that we have seen. But there is also a society which accepts them. Just as Ambedkar, who quit as law minister then, he was not ready to accept the Hindu code. There have been several such instances in the past of remarriage code and other codes in the past. So we have to prepare the society, Deepa. And we have to come across as people who are compassionate.
No, what is happening on the panel right now is trivializing the whole subject. So you're comparing major changes that has happened with something which can be viewed, which has a lot of questions still. So this is, what, if you talk about women stepping out to vote, those were all clear, logical and clearly, legal things which should happen. But then what we're talking about here is
so
we have a lot of questions.
Are you saying that, Deepa?
So let me complete, ma'am. You have to please let me complete. What I'm saying is we still have lots of questions unanswered when it comes to homosexuality. What are the yardsticks for homosexual divorces? What about adoption? What about inheritance? So there are a lot of questions still there. I think we're just going too quick on this. I'm not against this, but I'm saying for the benefit of the future generation, we should take it slow. I believe the parliament should be the right place to debate, and there should be much more education, sensitization on this, and then we should take the next step. I'm not saying we're against this. Of course, I'm not comfortable with this.
I'm sorry, I cannot take this enough, because you want generations after generations to die down and dusted because you think you and as whole many of you are not ready for it. You, being a feminist at heart and at practice, it appalls me that what if these were the same stands taken by patriarchal society when they never allowed women to go out and work, go out to get. It's almost like you are coming back and saying there are men who are just waiting to attack the women and by saying that you cannot marry so and so because this is not a part of our culture. I wish women also fundamentally correcting that and saying, yeah.
For the benefit of the society, for the benefit of your community,
for the benefit of the benefit to decide the benefit of the society. And why are you so worried about
there was a time when, homophobia was a problem.
I would not look into this and I would put this forward. There's a law ministry in place. There's a ministry. There's a central law ministry in place.
Evidences also exist that homosexual people cannot give a good nurture to a kid's life, which is very much clear, I think.
There's no data to back that.
Lawyer working on this issue for 23 years.
I have seen you. You have just come out as a homophobic person, and I'm sorry, I'll call you out that. You have to understand one thing.
Priyanka.
You cannot just
thank you so. And I give you no right to talk about like that to me.
No, 1 moment. No, Priyanka. That has not been backed by any data because there are 34 countries in which same-sex marriage is allowed. To say that their children are neglected is not an argument that is backed by
marriage is also about the individual two people. Marriage is also about in religious. If you look, marriage is.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, please, you say.
Okay. I will not say anything.
We are here.
Here. Let me tell you, in my 23 years of practice and providing support to the LGBTQ community, till date, I have not come across a single case where two square persons have abused their children for being straight. However, I have come across hundreds of cases where heterosexual parents have abused, humiliated, tortured their children for being gay. What are you talking about?
Exactly my point. We should be sensitized more. We are running too quickly on this
matter. You should not be sensitized. You should be
in a society where children are still
violating rights of individuals. There is no question of sensitizing you anymore. It is not the responsibility of the society or the queer community to sensitize you. It is your responsibility to be sensitized.
Social and other aspects are also connected with it.
You shall be legally punished. Please remember that.
Sitting on a panel on either sides and saying that you should agree will not make the environment or the society ready. So the reality is
how will society be ready?
Be a bigot.
How will society be ready then? Shouldn't the Supreme Court show the way? It should show the road. And then everybody will agree. We will become more tolerant as a society also.
Understand one thing. We're not here sitting for your acceptance. We're here sitting absolutely to tell you that we are here and we will live it. And we will let our rights to be given to us. We are not here for cisgender majoritarian society to tell us that they will change and then we will seek change. The change will happen when people like me push out the envelopes, push the boundaries you set us in. And that is why we are here. We're not here for your considerations to accept us or not. We have accepted ourselves. Our journeys have started. It won't be denied by you or many like.
The problem here is that this entire fear that is being generated by likes of Deepa, where they say that this will be a possible reason for a societal unrest. The question is that you have to prepare the society. How do you expect if these conversation, if it is same-sex marriage is allowed in India, it will become a living room conversation. Then the children and the generations after us will be able to accept them.
Yes, but first
they'll become more tolerant. And that's what is needed.
Clarify the hanging questions around the subject. A woman stepping out of her home to vote had no consequences. There were no unanswered questions.
No, men were opposing it then. They always consider. No. There is a problem in that argument at that time. We are looking at a particular time. And at that time, the entire society was against women coming out and voting.
Absolutely.
You have to prepare the society and you have to prepare your own children for it.
Maria, let's not forget, right?
Yes.
away right at this time. There's a country called Taliban,
Yes.
which is denying women to be on television as anchor or as panelist. Do we need
They are
that
denying
kind of a
women the right to education also, Akash.
Right.
Yes.
So the idea of conservative phobic attitude is no end. And just when we say that we
Sir,
as individuals, the whole idea is for
Sir,
us
I
to
would
grow
humbly like
together.
to endorse.
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead, Deepa. Priyanka, you wanted to come in. Go ahead.
I would humbly like to remind you. I'd like to humbly remind
I
you.
would only-
May I?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Priyanka.
Yeah, is this person is comparing our country to the Taliban?
No, he is saying that...
If I've heard right?
No. He is not comparing our country to Taliban. Akash, that's a convenient thing to
Can I
say.
explain her? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
I'm saying if we
I'm
let
sorry
the
if I missed something.
conservative fear, let sink in us and won't let me, you live and exercise our choices, then we will no less be then. And I'm saying that it's not just about you practicing your choices, it is about me having a choice to practice it or not as well. Your privilege is what you can't understand it is. I as an individual might not want to even get married, but should I not be given the choice? And you have that choice and you let
Is
that
there-
ladder of division be as an upper citizen and a lower class citizen? Do we make a fair country like that?
The marriage.
Priyanka, boliye.
So do you think the marriage certificate will only give you the justice right of being called a husband and wife? Do you think so? Like you need
No,
a
it is
certificate or you
not
need a
about
tag of being called
husband and
someone's
wife.
husband,
No,
someone's
this
wife?
is not about being called husband and wife. I don't know if you had any queer friends who were living by themselves in the times of Corona. You know, they were the work that we do, the NGOs we associated to, we had no options to hospitalize these kids who were queer because they had no parents and they couldn't even have a spouse and they couldn't even have anybody to be written on a hospital note that so and so person will be on my behalf take my medical decisions. That it is not only about having sex or getting married. It is about having equal rights in terms of financial spaces, economical spaces, social structures, having the right to health care, having a right to job as a spousal as well, having to write a benefit after retirement.
But we
to a
also
spousal
cannot
benefit.
ignore that adoption by a person with the same sex. We also cannot ignore the adoption person with the same sex will expose kids for their experimentation.
What?
We should also not forget this.
I don't know where are you going and how
No,
degrading
they can
that
get
technology.
children
I'm
through
sorry, I couldn't-
surrogacy or adoption or
I couldn't
legally.
laugh.
You know, the entire thing is, why create this fear that these children will be socially discriminated? You know, because all this is leading to that argument. First, when the Special Marriage Act came, when
marriage, I think the
inter-religion and
marriage is also
intercaste
not about
marriages
the
started
traditional
taking place, at that time also the children who were born out of these marriages were stigmatized. But the society got more accepted. They realized that they have to be tolerant. Same thing will
I
happen
must say
eventually.
that,
Caution.
Maria, you'll end up using a word called love jihad, right? The government or anybody at the law ministry has no data in that space, and they are using that terminology to just bring in fear. And this is again perpetuating one kind of a fear between people.
This
who
is
are
not a
just
fear. I think
loving.
this is a concern. This is not a fear. I would like to correct you here. This is not a fear. This is a concern.
But let this
We are
concern
concerned
be
for the
of our
society. We are
family
concerned for the
matter.
upcoming
Let
generation
this
of
be-
our
let
country.
this be a
And we
concern
do have a
which
right
do
to
have
differ on
any
something.
statistical
which
basis.
if something is going against the nature, we do all have a right to differ on that.
Madam, what is
and if,
nature?
What's wrong if
What
we are
is nature?
speaking about the
Define
upcoming
nature.
generation of our country?
Define
When we
nature.
talk about against
God
the
has
order of
made
nature,
men and
what
women are
is
individual
nature?
personality, and we should not disturb the reproduction system of which God has made.
I
Why are we
agree,
going
I
against the
agree.
nature?
If we would have been a
It is
nation
not
of
against the nature at all.
And we people do respect you. We people do respect you for every individual thing you are mentioned here. You are saying that you need legal right. We respect that. But what about the coming generation? What are we going to
What
teach
about the
them?
coming
Are we
generation?
going to
As
teach
an
them to do the
individual,
same things which are we planning to do
Priyanka,
for our
as an
lives in the present
individual,
time?
Of
Priyanka,
course,
as an
of
individual,
course.
or as in society as
I
whole
am
of
not here to
cisgender
fight with
people.
you to differ on
No,
something.
I've just
but
enough
I
time. I
am
have
concerned
just
with
enough
my
time for
coming
the final
generation
word to
and
Kaushik Gupta.
concerned.
We
Kaushik
still-
Gupta,
we are the
you know,
highest
at least
populated
the
country.
manner in which
We
it
are
is
the
being
highest
debated
populated
and
country.
the hearing is going on is reflecting a very progressive view. If we are looking at gender fluid argument that is being made, or the argument that nothing is fixed, you know, or frozen, which means that as a society we need to debate some issues which were long stigmatized and stereotyped.
Absolutely. You know, at times, what we have seen is at times the society moves forward and
Yes.
the law follows.
Yes.
Like, let us say, our law relating to the internet use. However, in some other cases, the law progresses and the society subsequently follows. So, in this case, we are hoping that the Honorable Supreme Court, which is the protector of the Constitution and protector of fundamental rights, will uphold the right of citizens who are equal under Article 14 of the Constitution to exercise their right to marry, which is a life of dignity under Article 21 of the Constitution, both of them being
Absolutely.
fundamental rights.
Absolutely. It's about fundamental rights, and the Supreme Court is the protector and an institution which safeguards these rights. Akash and Kaushik, all the best for this fight and more power to both of you. Priyanka and Deepa Ishwar, thank you so much for your time. Let me get